Hello, everyone. Welcome to Court of the Rings here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm Lutro's community manager, Cordovan, working from the home on a Friday. Much of the office actually has the day off today, but not me, because I got a Chronicle and Beacon to publish, and I got this show to do, and I've got a little social media scheduling to do over the weekend. So, taking kind of a three-quarters day today. Nice to see everyone here. Hope you're having an okay time. Hope you're enjoying Lord of the Rings Online. Tournament of the Twins is going on. We've got the Spring Festival Encore going on, and we got some big news coming up, which is that we have got tentatively set for next week. Update 27. Update 27, The Great Wedding, set to release next week. I'm going to be going over some kind of work-in-progress release notes, unformatted. I'll do a little Q&A time, and then I think I'm going to head on over to the Tournament of the Twins and do a little bit of semi-fast leveling here. I really had not had opportunity to even play any of my games this past week because of the realities of the workload and being a dad and other things going on in my life. So I've kind of stuck back to the low-level place I was last Friday, which isn't ideal to actually get ganked in PvP. So I want to try to do some quick leveling here. So we'll be talking about that stuff this week, and I want to thank everyone for being here. Thanks, Mark, David, Ron, Christopher. Hot Las Vegas. It's been pretty toasty in the Massachusetts area here as well. Hey, Ashakra over on YouTube. When is the wedding, Ponton? Well, stay tuned for the downtime notice. Assuming that things check out on the QA front, it could be as soon as Tuesday of next week. And I'll get into some detail and actually let you know a little bit more about how this is all going to work in a few minutes here on the show. Come to Bombadil. I will be doing that. I got a few things I want to get to first. So, actually, before I even do that, let me make sure that I am correct. I think this is the final weekend. Yes, this is the final weekend for the Spring Festival Encore. We're going to actually extend it. We extended it an extra day so that everyone could have a little time to complete the Rapper quest if they wanted to. It's going to be shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, June 30th. The worlds may well go down a few hours after that for the release of Update 27. So this is your final chance to get in on the Spring Festival if you would like to. Tournament of the Twins is going to be going through the 14th. That'll be shut off 3 a.m. Eastern Time on the 15th. And I think those are the two main bullet points to talk about right now. You can go to lotro.com/tournament if you want to find out more about Tournament of the Twins. A little bit old news at this point, but if you haven't checked it out, also go to lotro.com/friendsforever. Pick up that code for a whole bunch of free quest packs. Apply it to your account. We do have our free questing and rating and everything period going through August 31st, but you've got until then to use that coupon code, so all this stuff is basically going to get unlocked for you after that's done. So please do that. All right, so first thing I wanted to do, let's see if this actually works like it did earlier. Yay! Here we go. Okay, I've got the Update 27 release notes right in front of me. Like I said, this isn't staged yet on the forums. I quick put it onto the website in a non-visible state so that I could call it up on the live stream here today. The formatting isn't done, so that's why it looks like this. But I figured I'd take a few minutes to go over the Update 27 release notes for you today. And just a note, because of the goofy way I've got this on the screen, I can't actually see your chat yet. So feel free to ask your questions, and then when I'm done going through the release notes, I'm going to minimize it and then get to your questions to the best of my ability. So we are tentatively set to release Update 27, The Great Wedding, on Tuesday, June 30th. Hail and greetings to thee, friend of all free folk. Be it known that Aragorn Elisar, king of Gondor and Arnor, and son of Arathorn and Gilrain and Arwen, and daughter of Elrond and Celebrian, request the honor of thy company at their most joyous wedding in the union of elves and men at the citadel of Minas Tirith on Midsummer's Day. Basically, that's just some lore stuff for the wedding. Middle-earth is gathering in Minas Tirith to celebrate the wedding of Arwen and Aragorn. This is the actual wedding itself is going to be part of the Epic book. It's a free Epic book. Volume 5, Book 1, A Time of Celebration, begins with King Elisar in the throne room of Minas Tirith Midsummer version. Additionally, from now through July 20th, players will be able to take part in celebratory midsummer quests and instances to celebrate the wedding. That's the new event. That is the Midsummer Festival. That's going to be a recurring yearly event that'll be taking place around this time every year, called the Midsummer Festival. This is at least in part, why the Summer Festival is kicked off a little bit until August. The wedding itself is just going to be part of the Epic book, and so anyone who gets to that section of the Epic book is going to be able to run it. The Midsummer Festival is related to the wedding, but also has some other kind of midsummery sort of things associated with it. An auto-bestow quest will be available to provide a map to Minas Tirith Midsummer. Once there, an introduction quest will get you started on the Midsummer Festival. Pretty typical behavior for festival-type things. Additionally, some stable masters in Middle-earth will bring characters to Minas Tirith Midsummer. Finally, Midsummer Wedding Planners are located in Thorin's Hall, Dweeland, Briggy Town, and the Party Tree to direct players to Midsummer quests in those areas. You can earn titles, an emote, a kite, and some other cool stuff by completing deeds associated with the Midsummer Festival. Again, fairly typical kind of token-like behavior that you'll turn in for rewards. And the Midsummer Festival will be a yearly event. So that's really the big core part of the content here for Update 27 is the Midsummer Festival, which is going to have a whole bunch of kind of Midsummer tokens you'll turn in for all sorts of different rewards. The wedding itself will be part of the Epic Volume 5, Book 1, and it's going to be a permanent thing to run the Epic Volume and then a yearly event for the Midsummer Festival. I want to go on to something else that I think is brand new information to everyone in chat here. That's called Storied Tales. I'm going to go into the detail here in just a second, but essentially this is a way to get around the epic battles for those who want to do it. A Storied Tale is a soloable, story-focused alternative to an epic battle. Each of the 5 Helm's Deep epic battles now has a storied tale, and for each Helm's Deep quest, you can choose to complete either the epic battle or the storied tale. As a result, many quests in Epic Volume 3, Book 13 have been versioned. That means if they're underway, you're going to need to pick them up again, if you had it underway. The storied tales are intended to be played on a character that has never completed Helm's Deep. Each successful completion will add the storied tale to the West Rohan, Reflecting Pool, and Dunharrow. Characters that have already completed Helm's Deep and want to experience the storied tales they can speak to Cynric on the field of victory outside of Helm's Deep Sunrise. He will offer you a quest to play the storied tales, and completing them here will also add them to the West Rohan, Reflecting Pool, and Dunharrow. However, be advised you will need to use the time-changing objects in Helm's Deep after every storied tale in order to return to Cynric, so the experience will not have as satisfying a flow as it would if you were playing on a fresh character. It does, however, let you do it if you are okay with kind of being a little lore goofy on it. You don't actually need to do it because you've completed Helm's Deep, but if you want to do it anyway, there is an opportunity to do that. So this is obviously in preparation for getting Helm's Deep on the Legendary Worlds later in July. It's also debuting the Storied Tales, which is a kind of alternative to the epic battles. We know that some people enjoy epic battles, and we've certainly heard over the years that some people do not. So this is an alternative to sort of deal with the problematic epic battle areas for those who do not wish to run them. And that should make it nice for the Legendary World when that updates to Helm's Deep later on in July. Some class work. Beording, Hearten, and... Okay, so we're doing the nerf, but it's not quite as nerfed as it was. Heartened and Composure have had their cooldowns increased to 20 seconds. Their healing pulses reduced to every 2 seconds for 12 seconds, for a total of 6, instead of the nerf that was done earlier to 4. Bee Swarm's base tick damage has been increased and is now more comparable to Greater Swarm damage. Greater Swarm's trait now correctly indicates only its damage as area of effect, not its debuff effects. Basically, that is the way it should have been, but it wasn't specific in its tooltip description. Now it is. Expose Weaknesses tooltip now changes correctly depending on your form. Guarded Attack now describes how its buff stacks up to 5 times. Claw Swipe now describes how its buff stacks up to 3 times. Captain. The Captain trait set bonus tooltip now reflects it provides a mitigation bonus instead of an armor bonus. Guardian. Flash of Light has had its damage reduced. However, this ability now properly benefits from added light damage bonuses from legendary items at higher levels. This allows for Flash of Light to more properly scale based on level. Hunter. All Hunter fire skills now benefit from fire damage bonuses, so if they were not previously but should have, they now will. The cooldown on the trait Hail of Arrows now works on a per-target basis. Loremaster. Loremaster skills no longer cost morale. That's kind of a big change. Just flat out, Loremaster skills no longer cost morale. The level-headed trait now reduces power costs instead of morale costs. Enfeeble. Yes, we did the Enfeeble fix, finally. Thank you, Hepburn, for bringing that up to me. We were able to get that one finally done. Enfeeble now correctly buffs the initial 10-second version of each of its effects. Crafting. Fix an issue where the icons for the Sapphire and Polished Sapphire had been reversed pretty much since the start. The Sapphire icon now looks more uncut. Hobbit Gifts. This is not today. Remember, this is all release notes for next week. So once we go live with the update next week, there will be some new wedding-themed gifts in Hobbit Presents. They've been added to the daily and weekly Hobbit Gifts through the end of July. Silver Boosts presents and Gold Advanced Supplies presents will include an extra cosmetic gift in celebration of the Midsummer Wedding. And the Hobbit gifts are going to get, I believe, a little bit of a thematic makeover for the event. Housing. Some kind of significant changes to housing. Again, this is in preparation for the Rohan housing stuff coming later this summer with Helm's Deep, so probably later in July. The superior crafting facilities available from the Lotro store have been adjusted so they're all placeable in indoor or outdoor housing decoration hooks and in smaller hooks when they can, in order to improve the flexibility of their placement. Small furniture items can still be placed in large and special furniture hooks. Small yard items can still be placed in large, huge, and enormous hooks. Players can now designate a property as their primary residence in the Player House info panel. Only one property can be specified as primary at a time. Kinship properties cannot be selected. This is because you may well want to have more than one personal house in the near future, and you can select a primary now. Members of kinships that own a kinship house now earn a new Travel to Kinship Member's House skill. Use the new Visit button in the Social Kinship panel to visit any member who has specified a primary residence from their Character Houses panel. Clicking on the skill itself will always take you to the last property set from pressing the Visit button. So, this allows you to go to your personal kinship members' personal houses with the click a button. The imbued legendary item tier cap has been increased. There are now 4 additional levels for DPS healing per second legacies, 2 of which are unlocked, 2 of which are granted for free, 2 of which can be unlocked, 2 of which are granted for free. Lost Lore Tarlindale, the housing item for this Lost Lore, now contains spoken audio. Trophy items that cannot be turned in for tasks are no longer classified as task items. They will also no longer go into task carry-alls. We had some people saying, stuff goes in my task carry-all and I can't even turn it in for a task. So now it is neither a task item nor will it go into your task carry-all. Instead, these items will be classified as junk and displayed as junk in the item tooltips. The following travel skill scrolls are no longer indestructible. Return to Dale, Guide to Dale, Muster in Dale. Return Guide and Muster to Yarnfast. Return Guide Muster to Scarhold. Return Guide Muster to Holtvis. Return Guide Muster to Bjorninghus. Return Guide Muster to Estelad. Return to Limlock. Guide and Muster to Limlock. Fix an issue where crafting recipe totals would sometimes reflect the wrong totals calculated from carry-all bag contents. That was really a tooltip issue. Carry-all bag sorting has been improved when items are added to an already sorted list. And then the Tome of the Swarm Bees can be bartered for even if you already have the skill trained. Legendary Worlds. It is now possible to cancel Legendary Server endgame quests. I don't know why that was not possible, but now it is. Quest Legendary Mirkwood, Sammoth Ghoul, now only bestows on Tier 2. Tournament of the Twins, stacking XP buffs will no longer allow XP to be earned by running instances. Sorry. I know some people were using that to kind of get around the fact that instances didn't award XP by stacking XP buffs. Now they will not be able to. The Register of Heroes will now list the top 250 players, and that's also going to be going into the final standings, I believe, as well. You can see your personal score in the chat every time you earn points or honor, even if you are not high enough to appear in the Register of Heroes. We are making some changes to Remerchant. This is the raid. The raid has had some balance work done on Tier 4 and 5 difficulty. We hear you. Tier 4 and 5 was too difficult. People weren't able to complete it. It is now going to be easier. Players who have completed the Deed Remerchant Net of Darkness Tier 3 can now barter for item level 430 Remerchant class set gear. Trade-in Remerchant set gear will also update to item level 430. This was a little controversial on the Players' Council when this note got into their purview, but we ultimately had to make a decision about whether or not Tier 3 should, because you can barter down, right? And we wanted people to be able to barter for Tier 430 rather than Tier 428 item levels. Just a couple item levels, but still, that's happening. Tier 4 and 5 now have their own chests. Previously, they were shared with Tier 3. We've adjusted the Thossulan, the Massive Encounter in particular, to reduce morale pools of the Daughters, increase cooldown of the Winged Grodbog's Poison Sting, reduce damage of the Grodbog, Blight Spitter's Bombard, increase cooldown and initial cooldown of the Bombard, reduce damage of the Acid Spit. Now, this next note is a lot of things that could be included, but a number of largely non-visible changes have taken place to improve game performance in Minas Tirith. Obviously, with a whole bunch of players going to be heading into Minas Tirith, we wanted to make sure that Minas Tirith, being known as the place of honor and lag, perhaps was less known for the latter. So we made a bunch of adjustments. It's mostly like complex engineering type stuff. I can't think of anything too visible that you're going to see, but the intention is that Minas Tirith will have much better performance now, in the future, and throughout the various versions of Minas Tirith you would counter. A Treacherous Crevasses will now bestows properly. That does mean we had to version it, so if you have the quest underway, you're going to need to restart it. Merchants of Avardin Eva, a previously unreachable quest item, is now reachable. The Line of Kings plaque of King Aldemar has been returned to its proper place. The Orcs of Uragarth, only orcs count toward the deed now. Stable Masters now use random appearance sets in most cases. Half of all general stable masters are now female. So what we mean by general is basically if they're not specifically tied to maybe a quest or something like that. They're considered sort of a generic NPC, and so half of the generic stable master NPCs are now going to be female. We're trying to diversify the game a little bit. Fix a soft spot in a wall in Cindergroat. Quest and item text corrected. And message from Standguard. MASH will now remove the correct slimy slug meat from your inventories. Broken longswords will now remove said swords from inventories. Typo corrections, and probably about a couple dozen different places. Traits. Players can now earn up to 96 class trait points after completing the Great Wedding, the Wedding Banquet. Up to 95 class trait points can be spent in your class trait trees. I know there's always some people on the forums who are like, I want to spend that last trait point. It's for flexibility. That's why you can earn more than you can spend. UI. A clear button has been added to the sound filter UI. Don't press it unless you want to clear things. Fix the Smoky Black Pony Horse preview and collections. Fix the Stormcloud Pet preview and collections. And the Kinship panel has been rearranged to make better use of space. I don't quite know what that means. So, that it's still possible that between now and release, a few of those notes may get added to or released or removed. But as of Friday, 12:22 p.m., that's the current state of Update 27 here. Now, let me get over to chat. You already got Arwen and Aragorn a fondue set. I bet they're getting a lot of fondue sets. What are they going to do with them all, huh? It's going to end up at the Middle-earth equivalent of the Salvation Army in the near future, I guess. Sorry. What level is the Epic Book Quest for the wedding? It is open, I believe. No, it's not just for in-game characters. I don't know. I'd have to ask Maid of Lions to know what the specific quest range is on it. But the wedding is meant to not really have a lot of level gaining on it. ETA on Runekeeper fix. I'm not sure what specifically you want me to fix. Felnul. Yes, we have seen that PvP, talking Bombadil, is a thing people like. Will we finally care for PvMP, talking Moors again? We have been doing some PvMP work in the last, year or so. I know that, you can, if you look back on the release notes, you will see some changes there for scaling. Clearly, PvMP is an area that needs more love, and hopefully that's something we can do in the future, but I can't make any kind of promise to that. Sorry. I know Felnul and some other PvMPers really would like us to focus on PvMP as soon as possible, but I can't make that promise until the work is done. How much of the festival is available for low-level characters? Again, I will need to check, but I know that I had asked about the general level range. Is it just for endgame? And I was told no. So the intention is that players of just about any level should be able to run the Midsummer Festival and get to Minas Tirith for it. That's why there's the Minas Tirith Midsummer version. Any news on class changes? Mek Mulong, are you talking about... Oh, actually, I guess I just went through that in the Update 27 notes, so maybe that's what you're talking about. This is still internal Yiki. This was me actually, even more than internal, this is me pulling it from an internal sort of jet page and dropping it onto Lotro.com non-visibly in a way that I could call it up for the show here today. You'll see it along with the French and German versions, probably Monday afternoon. So Kinnies can now buy houses where they want and still be visited by other kin members? Yes. Wait, multiple personal houses? Yeah, so the idea of that is you're going to be able to pick up a Rohan house, regardless of whether you already own one. I have not heard of unnerfing the Burglar Provoke cooldown. That was done deliberately, and I believe that change is here to stay. Will Epic Battles be updated when it comes to rewards? No, Haderb. Specifically, we are doing the storied tales and not doing a lot of work on Epic Battles for Helm's Deep. All right, I think I've caught up on Twitch chat. Gussie Moose is now Gussie Marie. Okay, very nice. Also, welcome back to Twitch. I know Gussie was on Mixer, RIP on Mixer. Yeah, Druid's Fire. So the idea about the setting a primary house is really about that teleportation for members of your kinship to visit whichever primary house you select as your primary. Any word on new Epic Quest chapters? Well, we got one coming next week, and that's going to be the wedding of Aragorn and Arwen. Any news on a VIP update? Yes. The intention was to get that in for update 27 next week, but unfortunately, it was not able to get done in time. So the current ETA on the Town Services VIP benefit is 27.1. That'll basically be the very first patch after the release of update 27. We should have that in there. Real Gormson, yes, the wedding of Aragorn and Arwen is an event, is rather an addition to the Epic book. The Midsummer Festival is the event part, and the wedding of Aragorn and Arwen will be available long term as part of the Epic book. When does Durin's Epic Quest continue? That'll be in Update 28, The War of the Three Peaks. It's funny how the Evernight lag question always gets dodged. As a matter of fact, I believe I have actually asked or answered that question pretty much every week for about the past month. However, let me say the same thing again. We are aware that Evernight has got some specific issues. We worked, in fact, this past week to do some engineering work on the hardware environment to try to improve it. We are working we have our tech ops people basically doing quite a bit of work to hopefully make Evernight a less laggy place. I know you want it to be fixed. We want it to be fixed. And as soon as we can fix it, we will. All right. When is Rohan Housing being released? Should be later in July. ETA of Runekeeper fixed. We're still way too far behind in DPS compared to the other classes. So I'm not sure that I would agree with you there. However, if the class designers feel otherwise, then they will probably do some work on it. I know that Runekeeper was very much needed to be brought back down from its outlier status, which is why everyone was saying Runekeepers were OP. And I've not heard of plans to change the work that was done a few months ago on it. And no, Jorge, we only support Mac up to Catalina. At the moment, there are no plans to offer support for Catalina and beyond for the Lotro game client. Sorry. There are also no plans for a Linux client. Any news on character transfers from the old closed servers? That is something we're hoping to get to in the near future. There's some work that'll be taking place in early July, I believe, that is one of the steps that needs to take place before we can do that, but I don't have a specific ETA to provide. All I can say about that, Yiki saying, nope, Roomkeeper was actually on par, now it's last in line, is people making the decisions strongly disagree with you on that. Okay. Level cap increase will not be happening in the near future. I would expect the level cap increase potentially for our next expansion, but I don't have anything to announce on that. All right. Where is the minstrel damage buff? That's something that the class folks would have to take a look at. I will have to follow up Veridior. I hadn't really considered specifically asking about how the Legendary Worlds are going to treat the Midsummer Festival. That is something I'm going to have to ask the team when I'm not on the air here. I don't have an answer for you today. Sorry, I really should have had an answer for you today, but it skipped my mind. All right. So I think that's probably about it. How about I stop the ring spin, and now that we're about 30 some minutes into the show, and head in game for the next 25 minutes and do some on Bombadil. As with most classwork, I really can't make promises on it. I'm sorry. If I had the button to make all this classwork happen, then that would be awesome. But the best I can do is make sure that the systems team knows that you would like these classes worked on. I know that they want to do classwork when they can, as often as they can, and it's a never-ending process. There's always way more requests than there is time to do it. And that's just the reality of it. Correct, Soft Steak. Update 27 here is the Midsummer Festival along with the new Epic book. Sorry, Enigma. I'm gonna get the thing done. Gonna do the thing. I'm going to defeat diseased bristlehides and bury some bodies. So, feed my tralala. I would say to the question of, you mean they've been working on it for 3 months, is that no, it's not really how it works. It would be nice if that were how it works. But the reality is that the engineers have a lot of priorities, and they have to balance working on one thing and then working on another while doing a third thing and a fourth and a fifth. So how that ends up kind of manifesting is often They work on one thing, then they work on another thing, then they take their time because this other priority comes up and they have to work on that, etc., etc. So, and honestly, some of Evernight's problem is simply population. As people are well aware, Evernight has got a huge population boost from the freebie stuff that happened. And so we're running at max capacity. We're working to provide more resources. I wish I could snap my fingers and solve the problem for you. But unfortunately, I cannot. I have not heard of doing another English-speaking EU server. Perhaps that would be part of the solution, though, wouldn't it? Oops. Okay, where's that dude? Right. Oh, Will Wheatley, okay. I see him now. What is the proper number of players in Lotro? I have no idea. I would say everybody should play Lotro, so the proper number is the current population of the universe. I would say Earth, except that I also want space aliens to play the game. Alright, so if there's any of you out there listening, come check out the game. Alright. Nate Whisperwood. Where are you, Nate Whisperwood? Okay, you're over by the hunting lodge. Someone is asking basically a DDO question. We recently opened their hardcore server, which was VIP only, to be available to all players. Are we going to do that essentially for the Legendary Worlds? Nothing to announce. No plans that I am aware of to make Legendary open to non-VIP. Honestly, I don't think Space Aliens should be playing PvMP. You know, it might give them some bad ideas about how humans interact with each other in a way that their superior technology could be problematic. I would want them to get along with us, not rage when they get ganked in PvMP. Oh, yeah. Solar Yana YOLO Cordovan Pro Player. Yeah. I know. There was a forum thread this past week basically bashing me about how incompetent I am. So I read it. Thanks. That was lovely. I'm just going to actually do this. Make it even easier.
What do you need? What can I do for you? What do you need?
Come, stay a moment.
All right.
to do something for me?
One of the things that the thread pointed out that I guess is worth commenting on, is
be of service?
a lot of times I see requests of, hey, you need to be playing T4 Rubber Chant, or you need to be doing this, that, or the other thing. With the idea being that if I see it, somehow that's going to magically change things. And that's not actually how it works, folks. I do my best to make sure that players are, or that the developer team is well aware of everything that needs to be done. They generally are very well aware of what's going on and what players want us to do. It doesn't necessarily mean it gets done, as quickly as they or you would like, right? So this idea that if only Cord played T4 on the live stream, that suddenly everything would be fine is just not reality.
Double ice cube.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, look.
Hello.
Here I said hi. Look. Double ice cube. Big.
Cool. What are the current plans for the Bombadil server when it closes? Heard comments of transfers to other servers, wasn't sure. Will a new PvP server open up down the road? So the plan for the server will be to do something similar basically to what we do for hardcore for DDO, in that there will be a period of time where players can transfer their characters off of Bombadil to the regular non-legendary game worlds. They'll be able to do that for probably several weeks to a month, and then at that point we will close Bombadil for that season for good and do a complete server wipe. It is likely that in the future, assuming people like it and it goes well, we will do another version of it, but that really is not necessarily set in stone at this point. We will see if people like it, if it's successful for us, if it's successful for players. If everyone wants it to be there and likes it, then we will probably do it. But there's no guarantee that the Tournament of the Twins will ever come back. And so I would say that if you want to play the Tournament of the Twins, now is the time. There's no guarantee it will be coming back. And there will be an opportunity to transfer your stuff off of there if you want. That's basically how it's going to work. Now, where's that goofy seat bag? It's around here somewhere. Come on, it's got to be here. Why am I not seeing it? Why am I not seeing it? Oh, there we go.
Greetings. Would you do something for me? do you want?
All right. What else should I do? What else should I talk about here? You do get a free name change token if the
Hello, friend.
name you have has a conflict on another server, just by standard. Okay. I think I'm going to. Where am I going now? Okay. Down to that spidery area. Right. Yeah, Bob, it has been particularly hot around here in recent days. How can a character transfer to EU or American server if it's not possible to transfer from American to EU? I think there may be some confusion there. So, the restriction on what I guess you could say legacy EU to US servers is that there is a significant tech conflict having to do with the way that those servers were created back in 2007 that prohibits us, whether we would want to or not, to allow for cross-region transfers. I think we've been pretty explicit about that over the years. However, the legendary worlds operate differently. They were set up in a way that does not have that same incompatibility. So, on the legendary worlds, it is possible to transfer regardless of where you came from. So when it comes time to transfer from Bombadil, for example, you can transfer to either an EU or US world. And that's fine. However, there will still be that core incompatibility regardless. Oops, wrong way. Valley, there he is. All right. So on the one hand, that's nice in that you can create a character on Bombadil, get up to level 50, and then transfer to a non-geographic world if you want to. So that's kind of cool. It doesn't, however, have anything to do with the otherwise level restrictions that you would run into. Or not level restrictions, but geographic restrictions that you would run into. Because that really doesn't have to do with geography as it has to do with specific tech as created by Turbine and Codemasters back in 2007. And how that would manifest to people is you would attempt to transfer, and if you transfer correctly, there would be all sorts of data issues. And that's why it's not permitted. It's not because we don't like you. It's because it simply doesn't work. Nikki, you can take characters wherever you'd like. If you have multiple characters on Bombadil, that's cool. You can do that. Those characters, you can send some to one world, some to another world if you want to. It's totally a way to do it. Will there be notes up about the new housing command I mentioned earlier? Yes, on Monday. This is part of the release notes, so it'll be included in the release notes that will be available to the public when we formally announce the downtime notice, if everything works out, Monday, probably mid-afternoon, on Lotra.com and the forums, etc. Trying to find that last missing journal page. Probably back in the main room. Or off the main room. Unless it's down here. Nope. Lotra Navi, I had read because of there was a forum thread basically asking us to do level squishing. I had read about the World of Warcraft thing a little bit, that they're doing some kind of thing like that. We have no plans to do anything like that. I mean, never say never, but it's definitely not on our agenda. Will Midsummer event have a new seasonal instance? I don't believe so. Will the Summer Festival instance Thrang be upgraded to current cap? I believe so. Yes, Phil. Go back in time and speak to both Codemasters and Turbine's engineers, and that should solve the problem. What am I going to do here? Let's see. I'm just trying to check out chat before the end. Part of the problem with Evernight was we kept it too long as the default recommended world. So when the free period hit, we all of a sudden had, frankly, just far too many people on Evernight. Now, we did do work to quickly mitigate that. We picked a different world. But unfortunately, to some extent, the overpopulation had already taken place on Evernight. So we're doing some work to properly scale that up. But, like I said, if I could snap my fingers and solve all those problems, I would. But the scope of that work is beyond my ability to comment on today. You know, I'm just going to skip this. I don't actually need to do this.
What do you need? Stay a moment.
Stay and have some tea.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
All right. So where am I now? I'm all the way over there. That's fine.
What do you need? Could I speak with you a moment?
Constable Underhill. All right, I'm going to stop playing here for a little bit and then see where we end up with. As a VIP, you are not able to buy the 99 Lotro Point quest packs. Wondering if that's a known problem and if a fix is coming. So, one thing I would note is that they aren't quest packs, they are the expansion quests. And if you're not able to purchase them, the most likely cause is that you already have them. However, if you feel that that is not the case, like if you know for sure that you don't have one of the expansions and it's not showing up for you, get in touch with account support through help.standingstonegames.com. They can take a look at your billing entitlements, basically, and see what you have and don't have, and then let you know if you do maybe have one of those things already, or if not, they can probably force a manual purchase for it. So help.standingstonegames.com. It will be free to transfer from Bombadil to another server for the period of time that Bombadil is open to transfer. Keep in mind that unlike, say, the other closed worlds, this is not going to be a long-term thing. You will have several weeks to transfer your characters from Bombadil before they are gone forever. So, keep that in mind. But it will be free when you do that. No, Berkir. If that the existence of another game does not mean our game will be going away. Fiona, I know that at least some of the other carryalls will likely be in the Lotro store in the future, but I could not comment specifically about which ones. What is a Bombadil server? Okay, sorry, I didn't get your name right. Lotro.com/tournament. Lotro.com/tournament will answer your questions. All right, we will have a Corey Olson up here in just a couple of minutes here, and you can find the full schedule over on twitch.tv/LotraStream, twitch.tv/LotraStream. Programming note, I will not be here next Friday. I have next Friday off for the 4th of July holiday. So I will see you in 2 weeks here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having an okay time. Hope you're enjoying that stuff, and I will talk to you in the near future. Bye-bye.